Welcome to the Human Design Profiles, an entrepreneurship podcast. I'm your host, Chantel, a 1-3 manifesting generator, small business strategist, and author of the Aligned Action series for solo entrepreneurs. Thanks for joining us on this show, an active learning experiment all about how we experience entrepreneurship as individuals through our human design. Each episode profiles a human design enthusiast / business owner who's here to share about how their personal profile lines influence their entrepreneurship journey, how they use what they know about their profile to set intentions as entrepreneurs, and what this looks like for them personally with the decisions that they make daily as business owners. Today, I'm connecting with Gabrielle, a licensed clinical social worker, consultant, coach, entrepreneur, and educator based in Sarasota, Florida. She has been in the mental health field for over a decade, specializing in stress, chronic health conditions, and trauma. After scaling her group practice to 7 figures and realizing her own burnout in 2021, she sold her thriving group practice and made it her mission to educate others on the impact stress has on our everyday lives. Gabrielle pulls from her experience as an EMDR and Polyvagal informed therapist to utilize mind-body approaches to help others implement everyday strategies to manage stress and live their best lives. Gabrielle is an international speaker, retreat leader, and has been featured in Authority Magazine, The Daily Om, Bustle, and the Everyday Woman TV network. When she's not working, Gabrielle is teaching Zumba, surfing, or reading a psychological thriller at the beach. Have a listen while today's guest, Gabrielle, a 1-3, shares her story while you read between the lines. Gabrielle, we both know that line ones love to learn. What are you enjoying exploring at the moment? What are your big learnings these days?
I do love to learn. I have a problem with that.
Not a problem, it's a gift.
I know. I want to do all of the things, so I have to really prioritize. I think right now I'm trying to learn Spanish again, so I took a little bit of a break. So now I'm trying to relearn Spanish. And then for kind of business, I guess, is learning how to do Facebook and Instagram ads. So yes, there's always something on the agenda.
But you said that learning is kind of a problem. Tell me about that. Is it like something that you have to balance your time around, or what's that like?
I just love hobbies and I love new things. And I think it's partially this and also partially ADHD. And I wish, and you know what? Maybe this isn't a wish. This will be my life someday, is that I can just do my hobbies and make money because I would love to spend my time like learning how to paint and learning how to play the piano or the guitar and being fluent in Spanish and then being fluent in Italian. And I wish I could spend my days learning all of these really fun things that I feel like make life worth living.
Mhm. I relate to that. I could easily just be a student and do like 4-year degree after 4-year degree. I would never run out of disciplines that I would want to learn and explore.
It's so exciting. I'm
It
like,
is.
I want to be a marine biologist. Wait, I want to be an artist. Wait, I'm the same way. There's so much stuff, and I want to know all of it.
Yeah. And you said it earlier, you love new things. That's a very 1-3 thing to say. Like, I also love new things. It's the newness. There's something about it that's just so exciting.
It is so exciting. It's like a dopamine hit, and it's fun. Like, I even think about like being an entrepreneur and building a business. That's new, and
Mhm.
that's fun and exciting. And I have a friend who's building a business, and I'm excited for her because the building part it is fun. And so, yeah, I think that goes along with that nicely.
I agree. I love the building stage. It's really fun for me to work with beginner business owners who are in those
hmm
early stages because I guess I get to vicariously live the novelty through them. Like, I'm not constantly starting a new business, but
Yes.
sometimes my clients are, and then I get to experience that alongside them.
I feel the same way. And like there are often times like in a place where they're afraid and it is a lot of unknowns. And I get to be the one who's like their cheerleader. And I'm like, no, this is like, let's do this. Let's dream.
Yeah,
Let's
this
dream
is good.
big.
Totally. A big lesson for a 3 line is realizing that the experiences that you've had that might look like failures or feel like failures to you could also be perceived as relevant and valuable life experiences. I saw a post recently on your Instagram about failure, and I think it read something like, but what if I fail? And then on the next slide, it was like, but what if I don't? This feels very familiar to me as a fellow 1-3. I feel like we have this confidence around trying things that other people don't necessarily have. And so we get to be influential in this way and like role models to show other people our energy. How do you feel about that?
It's so true. And I was talking with somebody about this earlier, and I was like, every time that I leveled up or did something big in my business was scary, always. It was always full of fear and full of a lot of unknowns. But that rings true is like, I do like to try new things and I'm just going to do it. And I also have a lot of drive and motivation to do that. So I want to try new things because I know this now. I didn't know this before, but I know this now that like if I try something new or if I push myself into that place of discomfort, like I know that's where success, whatever that means, and
Mhm.
and change happens. And that's how I know that like this is the next place that I need to go to. And I also find that my internal self-talk too. I'm very hard on myself, and I think a lot of things that I saw as failures aren't necessarily failures. And even
Mhm.
if they are, I also try now to think about things not in terms of like good or bad, but it just is. And like, what did I
Yeah.
learn from that? And if I hadn't have done that, then I wouldn't have gotten here. People ask me a lot, like with my group practice stuff and how burnt out I was. And even though now I coach a lot of people on how to do that, I
Mhm.
get asked a lot, like, do you regret it? Would you go back and change it? And even though it was hard, I got burnt out, I got sick, like a lot of stuff came out of it, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if I hadn't done that.
Right. Yes. I think that's so true that as three lines, we have to embrace that that's just a part of our journey. And it's so hard to look back at life and think of what it would be if you change just one thing. You have no idea what possibilities that would alter in the process, right? And so if you filter out some of the bad, then you might not have some of the good that you have now. I completely
Yes.
agree.
Yeah. So it's definitely a mindset shift of how to think about things and even like things that most people wouldn't think are failures. I remember even when I decided to sell my practice, I got a lot of people saying like that's not what entrepreneurs do. You need to weather the storm. You need to push through. And so I kind of felt like that was a failure. Like I should have done it this way. I should have tried harder. I should, which I also am really big on not saying shoulds anymore. It's not a failure. It's actually the exact opposite of that. It's me knowing myself and what I need to do, and pivoting and switching is not failing.
I do wish more people understood that lesson.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're really hard on ourselves. And I also think, this kind of just ties in with it also, like, because I'm a millennial, and that is the message that I got is like, push, hustle more, work harder, work all the time, do all of the things. And yes, there is some joy from that, obviously, because we've been talking about all the different things that we do, but it doesn't mean that you are a failure if you aren't working hard. And so I think it's just
Mhm.
about redefining what all of those things mean.
Absolutely. Having a personal definition for each of those societal concepts, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as a generator, you know that you're designed to respond. And one way that I know that you've responded to something internal is what you were just talking about, this becoming aware of your burnout and then making shifts to your practice. Can you share with us how that response felt in your body when you knew that that was the right next step? And then how did you take action from that place?
This is a great question. This is also lots of learning lessons over the
Mhm.
past couple of years. And when I talk about this, I always think of a time, this was like summer of 2021 or maybe spring, and I remember waking up and I just was angry and I felt Like, I didn't want to look at my phone. I didn't want to respond to any emails that came in the night before. I was like, if my team needs something from me, I don't care. I'm not going to talk to them. They need too much. I have nothing left to give. I remember those feelings and like a general feeling of apathy,
Mhm.
which as a therapist is dangerous.
Sure.
And I recognize that. And I had that shift where I was like, is this how I want to live my life? Is this how I want to
Mhm.
wake up every day and feel angry and irritable and grumpy? I don't want to do that. I want to have the exact opposite of that. But it took a really, really long time to do a lot of deep work, both like energy work and therapy work to move through that. And so when I think about how it felt in my body, I think of a lot of anger, which I normally feel in my like chest and my throat. And I felt stuck and
Mhm.
like I didn't know what to do next. And going on a retreat really helped me. But the other things that really helped me were my own nervous system work, redefining success, understanding my values and how to live in alignment with those values, and understanding like my dream life and how do I want to work and what do I want to do? Because that's where I talk about getting rid of the shoulds. I don't have to work in a certain way. I can work however I want and do whatever I want to do and be successful at it. And so it just took a lot of really small shifts that added up over time to get to this place that I'm at now.
Yeah, in human design terms, we would say that you are like learning to act on your body's natural response because like your body was sending you those signals all along. Every time you woke up
Mhm.
feeling that way, it was like, hey, this is not good. You want to be doing something different. And as a generator, your self theme is satisfaction, the not self theme is frustration. So when you're in that frustrated mode, everything is like blocked off. That's what leads to that stuck feeling, right?
Yeah.
Taking even one little positive step to listening to that response is huge
hmm
because your body is then like, oh, okay, she heard me. Like
hmm
we're taking steps in the right direction, right?
Which ties in so nicely with polyvagal theory because it's the same thing.
Mhm.
It's saying, like your nervous system, when you are frustrated, you're in fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, you're not thinking with your logical brain, you're thinking with your fear-based brain. And that's not where you make good decisions anyway. So you are
Yeah,
stuck. So I love that it just like they're both connected so nicely.
totally. And you mentioned that human design is something that is newer to you.
Mhm.
When did that come into your life and how does that play a part?
I had kind of heard about it over the years, but I never really looked into it. And then when I went on this retreat, there was someone there who she is an expert in human design and astrology, and she read my birth chart and she showed me my human design and walked me through it. And I was like, this makes sense. Why
Mhm.
didn't somebody tell me this like 10, 15, 20 years ago? Because
Right.
it all makes sense now, especially learning, about my sacral and then that's how I make decisions. I'm like, yes, that is how I make decisions, but I didn't know that. Like I didn't put together the language for it.
Right.
And even like what is it called? Like my place where I get clarity is the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
which
Your environment.
yes, is like, I mean, I like the mountains, but it's more about, right, that I can like be up high and like see things from a different vantage point, like see everything. And that totally makes sense to me too.
It is like being handed a manual to yourself, which is very
Yes.
handy.
Like now I get it. And it helps too because like you were just saying, now I can work in alignment with how I'm supposed to work and I understand that and I can do things in a way that aligns with that.
Mhm. And in that awakening of alignment, is that when you started to become more spiritual, or what was that? How's that journey been?
They kind of went together. So the spirituality, I always kind of felt like it was there. I was always drawn to those types of things and I always found it interesting, like crystals and mediumship, but I didn't really know how it fit in with my life. and I didn't understand it. I still have this problem where I like worry about how I'm perceived by people. So I was really worried about that too. And on that retreat, when she read my human design and she read my birth chart, she was like, you just need to lean into this. I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't really know what that means, but okay. So I did lean in, which to me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna meditate more. I'm gonna go on shamanic journey more. I'm going to do sound healing, which I love, and I ended up getting my certificate in it. And all of those things led me to the path that I'm on now, where I found somebody who I trusted and took a certified intuitive practitioner program, level one and level two. And so that just kind of helped lead me to this place where I feel like I do understand it more and it does help me and guide me and trusting my intuition more and understanding how all of this works together for me.
Yeah. I often find talking to other 1-3s, we are multi-modality people. We're like the ultimate multi-passionates because one thing leads to another. And
Yeah.
it's this really exciting rabbit hole once you find one thing that's helpful, and then it leads you to this other thing that's helpful. And then you can't not look into it. What are some of your favorite modalities right now to be integrating into your work with clients?
Definitely sound healing. So I love sound healing. And I love that I can do it in person, but I also can really easily do it over Zoom. And I do like Instagram lives too with free sound baths. And I also integrate that into my retreats. And my retreats are my other favorite way of working with people right now because it brings everything together. It brings a little bit of business coaching, a little bit of spirituality stuff, a little sound healing, a little meditation. Plus, we get to travel and we get to write it
That's right.
off, and you get to change your life. So it's all of the things all together in one.
That's right. It's easily 7 wins right there.
Exactly.
Okay. Before we hit record, we chatted a bit about how you were more aware of astrology before you came into human design. I am always a bit envious of those people because I know just the surface level of astrology stuff. And yet, human design and astrology have a lot in common. There's quite a bit of overlap there between
Mhm.
those systems. So, what do you love about astrology? And has any of what you know about that helped you in understanding your human design?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I'm like an expert in astrology by any means, but I just knew more about it before human design. Like I hadn't even heard of human design, but I always knew what my sign was.
Mhm.
And I think it has helped me. If anybody's listening and they're interested, I'm a Scorpio rising, I'm a Pisces sun, and I'm a Virgo moon. And that does help me. It's interesting to see how like people in my life show up and how I connect with them
Mhm.
when I know what their signs are. And so there's that piece of it too. And then, of course, thinking about retrogrades and the moon cycle and all of that stuff and how it all does just blend together. But I always use all of this as more of a guide, right? It's like not an end all be all,
Mhm.
but it has helped to like, and again, I'm not an expert, but I look at my apps and I see where some of my like what houses planets are in and how that plays into my life's purpose or how I work best, which totally goes along with human design. So again, it's just more information to understanding how we work.
Yeah. What apps do you love? I used to be really into CoStar astrology, and then I just somehow stopped checking that one day. But what are the ones that you love?
I also like CoStar. So that's the one that I look at the most because I like the way it explains things and it's also kind of cool to see what's happening with other people in my life and where we're all at.
Mhm.
And I also use the Chani or Chani, I don't know how you
Mhm.
say her name. I use her app too. So those are
Yeah,
the
that's a good
two
one.
that I use most often, but I think I like CoStar a little bit better.
Mhm. Yeah, that is a good one. Lines love sharing resources. So it's funny because you've mentioned a lot of things. You've mentioned the like you offer the sound bathing on Instagram Lives and all of that. Are there any other resources that you think someone listening should know about?
Oh my God, I know so many. I am very resourceful. I was just talking to somebody else and I was in a coaching session and we were just talking about marketing and I had all these crazy ideas and she's like, "You have a lot of resources." Like I do. They're all in my brain and I'm all about making things easier too. I like the Stardust app to track my period. I will not affiliated, but I will say that is a great app. If you're a woman. And that also talks about the moon cycle and how it has to do with your menstrual cycle. And it's really pretty too, which is always nice.
That's a total bonus. Yeah. Millennials love a pretty anything.
We do.
Well, thanks for chatting with me today. I loved the insights into you and what you do. If you are ready, you and I will flow into our closing ritual for these episodes, which is drawing an affirmation card. Sounds like it'll be right up your alley from everything that we've talked about today. I'm holding the custom human design affirmation cards created by Christina of Glow Glow Juice HD. If you're ready, you and I will take a deep breath in together and then let that go. The card that is coming up today reads, "The people I feel connected to bring me what I need to fortify my foundation. How might I foster a sense of safety and connection today?"
Mhm. I love that. I think I just did. I think that deep breath did it for me. But actually, what I'm doing right after this is I'm teaching my Zumba class. And so
Oh,
that's the one of the best ways for me to foster that for myself and my nervous system.
mhm. Oh, great answer.